especially in view of Bill HR 861 to terminate the EPA. We're very concerned about the state of the environment and for truthful science. And they actually do that? I mean, what can you and me do to block the effort? How will we keep our water and our air clean if they dismantle the EPA?
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're going to be as obvious as abolishing it, but they have put a gentleman in charge who, you know, has been working hand in glove with the fossil fuel industry for years as the Attorney General of Arkansas, I guess, one of those places, and Mr. Pruitt. And you know, it's going to be huge. They already did one really evil thing that I've been fighting for 10 years, started under the Bush administration, called mountaintop removal. You blow the top off a mountain, you got to do something with it. Well, they say it's just fine to dump it in the valley, which happens to be where the streams run. And this is no problem. I fought this for years on the Resources Committee. We had the Obama administration. We pushed them to rewrite the rule. It got litigated. Rewrite the rule. It got litigated. Finally, they got the rule, and now the Republicans voted already to undo it, and the Senate voted in the dark of the night to do that, and it didn't get filibustered, unfortunately, and the president already signed it. So they're going to try. They're by executive order going to, or have already undone the president's mandate for clean air, dealing with the coal industry, you know, but when the people who dig coal see that their jobs didn't come back, but the air's getting dirty, they might not be voting the same way the next time around, because those jobs are not coming back. So, you know, this is going to be a huge battle. It's also an educational battle. They've taken down any reference to climate change from the White House website. I think the EPA has gone dark too. You know, we've got to counter that with real information. I mean, I remember, you know, back in the 60s and 70s, you know, pollution was killing us. It was very obvious. They had black snow in, you know, in Pennsylvania. We had killer inversions. The Willamette River was an open sewer. People don't want to go back to that. And we've got to let people know how much is at risk because of their denial of science regarding climate change, how much is going to be much more obviously and immediately at risk in terms of blowing the tops off mountains or other things that they want to do. And I don't believe they have majority support for those positions in this country. I do not believe that.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, really respect your endurance and keeping up the good fight every step of the way. I think we all can agree that our greatest threat is climate chaos. And it starts from a local, national, global, and planetary level. And here at home on a local level, our greatest resource, which this economy was based on, are our once upon a time forests. And we have pushed and pushed. We are in our third, fourth harvest. And we're talking about soils that will never be regenerated overnight, or trees that will grow in 5, 10, 20 years. I'm addressing this because we're selling off public lands, the Elliott Forest, at the expense of chump change and not thinking the long view of what comes after that, once that money's gone. And using our ONC lands to support 18 rural communities, which is outdated. Every treaty, all our Native American treaties have been broken over and over again. We are facing outdated paradigms that need to be really seriously transitioned into, like somebody mentioned, the cannabis industry. We need to get hemp out of this Controlled Substance 1 Act and have an annual crop that can replace or at least wean off of deforestation. So yeah, that's one of my greatest concerns. is our climate, our planet, and we're all not going to have a home, and all of our health is being bombarded by this industrial revolution. That's why we're all facing the threat of cancer. We all have cells that can be mutated at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a gentleman out front on the way in who had a petition on restricting the application of aerial herbicides on industrial forest lands. So there are people taking action. Elliott State Forest, of course, you have state legislators here, is a state issue. Ultimately, the legislature can be involved. At this point, it's only been the, whatever that board is, the lands board. Thank you, Phil. I urge people to voice their concerns about that. Another gentleman raised that issue earlier, talking about one of the 3 members of the lands board. Dealing with hemp, I mean, we talked about that earlier, a little bit about they're going to, are they going to go after us for medical marijuana and recreational marijuana? I mean, it is so stupid, the hemp thing, even absent that, you smoke what you grow to make hemp. If you smoke it, you're going to get a headache and you're not going to get high. So,
And it's also medicinal.
Yeah, it can be, I know. So, that's something that at one point I had hope. I actually talked to some of the paper companies about it, and said, could you use this to make paper instead of, the tree farms? And they said, oh yeah. And I said, well, so I was trying to convince them, because I figured, well, we got a big business to help us deal with, these Republicans. Maybe we can get there. We haven't, but it's something to continue to push on. The management of the O&C lands has obviously been very contentious over very many years, and it is now being litigated in 5 different courts, or 5 different cases, as I understand, right now, and we'll see where that whole debate goes. I proposed, when I first ran for Congress, that we should stop cutting old growth. And we're not there. Actually, the new RMP from BLM still would be cutting old growth, and I think both sides are upset with their management plan, both environmentalists and industry. So I'm not sure where that's ultimately going at this point in time. In terms of selling federal public lands, that is the one little tiny glimmer of potential good news in the President's cabinet, is the new Secretary of the Interior resigned from the Republican Platform Convention last summer because they were putting in a provision to say the public lands, federal public lands, should be sold. And he resigned. So he has come, very strongly out against that. Now, whether he will propose egregious management things, I don't know. But that's a good start, to have someone in that position who says we are not going to sell federal public lands, and I support him 100% on that. Good start.